Hello beer tubers and welcome to another The Master of Hoppets on the Road. It's Sunday and we're at a very special place today. We're at in the Verzekering tegen, the Grote Dorst. I butchered that pronunciation because I suck at Flemish/Dutch, but this is a very, very legendary spot. So it's in a small village and they're only open on Sundays after church. Historically, people would go here after church and they would drink Lambic straight from the barrel. They still do. There's loads of locals here just sitting drinking Lambic, which is really cool. But they have one of the biggest Lambic cellars in the world, and they have loads of vintage stuff. So we're definitely going to be trying some fun things here. I think we should try some of the Lambic from the barrels, but we decided to start with something special. We decided to start with a 2011 vintage of the Oude Geuzestekerij the Mega Blend. So they make this for the Oude Geuze, and I've reviewed quite a good handful of them. But this is the first time we try, I think, something this old. So this blend is with Lambic from Pajottenland, Boon, Timmermans, Oude Geuzestekerij De Cam, and Hansen. So quite a few producers in this one, and I think the ABV is probably around 5, maybe 7. I should say 7%. So they do these every year for Oude Geuze, where they do these mega blends, and I don't think so. Pajottenland and Cantillon, for example, they are not part of it anymore, but they used to. But here we go, really old Lambic, 2011, so 10-year-old bottle. There we go. Looks very nice. Actually, it's not looking crazy oxidized or anything. It's still fairly pale, but we already had a sip, and it smells really nice. I'm getting like a bit of a honey malt sweetness. There's definitely oxidized, like sherry porty vibes, woody corkiness. I don't think it's heavy on the oxidation. It's not too bad. It's towards that sherry character, and then loads of dried, like stone fruit. That's like often when the Geuze is more fresh, you get these like juicy, bright stone fruit flavors, and then aged, you get more of a dried flavor. It's really nice. Really like that honey sherry thing. I get a lot of that. Really nice drying oak. Really well balanced funkiness. It's actually not like heavy on funk compared to some of the vintage stuff we had at Pajottenland. But it's really tasty. It almost has like that butterscotch toffee vibe. It's really tasty. And yeah, there's a bit of apple, maybe a bit of pear, stewed fruitiness, like stewed apple and pears. It's really good. Massive thumbs up for drinking vintage Lambic like this. So we're going to be trying some different Lambics here. I'm probably going to film a little bit around the place. It's really small, but it's really cozy. And they have a small outside patio as well. So here's to a nice day in Belgium. After this, we'll probably also go hit up De Cam, because that is very close by. So cheers, guys. We got something very special right now. Patrick asked behind the bar and said, "Do you have any Bucker Rider?" Because it's not in the menu. But they apparently had a small release a little while back when they served something. And he just came down with a bottle. He didn't tell us what he was getting. He just said, "I have a surprise." So the surprise was a bottle of 2016 Weingart with Gewürztraminer and Riesling grapes. Or Würzer and Riesling. Würzer, I think, is slang for Gewürztraminer. But a 16 vintage. Really old Bucker Rider. So here we go. I already smell it. It smells really good. It definitely smells like Riesling. It's like peppery, perfumey, floral. And I think that almost like really honey floral thing you get from Gewürztraminer, it's there, it's a touch there, but I think the Riesling shines. It smells really nice, really funky, dry oaky. It smells like it's aged really well. Cheers. Oh, that is really good. Such a great balance between grape and Lambic. It's quite tart. It's not like crazy sour, but it's quite snappy and like it has some sourness, of course. Really nice funkiness, but the grapes really shine, but they're not in the way of the rest of the Lambic. I mean, if you compare this to the Pajottenland one we had, this is definitely a bit more balanced. That one was also much younger than this, but it was also drinking really great. You could taste that the grapes were subdued a bit, so the Lambic also was shining, but that one needed more time. This one is drinking awesome. Loads of grape quality, but also loads of Lambic quality. It has a little bit of a musty funk. It's nothing crazy, but just like big time grape profile. nice minerality, nice dry woody oak, apple, pear, almost passion fruit to this one. Yeah, like almost like tropical fruit, almost a bit like when you. So sometimes I actually get that from Riesling, and when we were in Alsace, some of them are almost like slightly tropical, not as much as like a Sauvignon Blanc, but they have some really nice tropical flavors, and then you get that like floral, honey, like almost perfumey bouquet from the Gewürztraminer. It smells really good and tastes really good. I'm also getting stone fruit, like fresh peaches or something. This is goddamn amazing. You understand why Bocarina is really hyped when you drink this stuff. It's amazing stuff. Again, a massive 2 thumbs up, really. I mean, if I had to rate this, I would probably rate this really high, but it's just drinking awesomely. And I love grape lambics. So, this is a treat. Thanks for asking for this, Patrick. This is awesome. Okay, guys, we moved on to the next place of today's tour, Geuzestekerij De Cam. So De Cam is one of the blenderies in Pajottenland that a lot of you guys probably know. And we just arrived, and it's like, you want something to drink. They're serving us even snacks of cheese, which is really nice. And we're drinking some framboise straight from the barrel. How many kilos did he say of raspberries? 1,000 kilos of raspberries for this. And it smells a lot like raspberry. Like slight funkiness, slight oakiness. It's young lambic too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's probably 2-year-old.
Oh, that's just really nice. In the sunlight, loads of raspberry, and because it's so fresh, it's like really jammy. Not like crazy sour. This is like pretty much the true lambic experience. Sitting like this, it's a slightly cloudy day, and then just drinking straight lambic from the barrel with fruit, or maybe just straight lambic, whatever. But it's really tasty. We're gonna go inside as well and have a look inside. It's a very, very tiny spot, so it's going to be fun. De Cam is maybe one of the more underrated, I think, lambic producers, or produces blenders, but they make some really, really nice stuff. So yeah, it's going to be fun to try some. So cheers. In some fresh framboise from the barrel. The bees want to taste too. Oh, God damn it. Cheers. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so now it's a bit of a hectic moment to get in the new fruit, to find it local at the farmer's house and to add to the lambic beers. So it's taking a while, and we always need 1,000 kilos of the fresh fruit to add to 1,500 liters of lambic to fermentate in the barrels. So yeah, that's now the moment of the year. Begin July, August.
Because it's when you can get the fresh fruit?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and as much local as possible, but of course the cherries of Belgium is more and more difficult. We have kind of an invasion of Japanese fruit flies.
Oh.
That is not good for the cherries, the sour cherries.
The sour, the Schaerbeekse? Or?
The Schaerbeekse krieken,
Schaerbeekse,
yeah. So we have harvested Schaerbeekse krieken yesterday and the day before, but we have to be really careful that we have the best quality to add to the lambic. So that's why we every year we try to experiment with other kind of fruits like quince. I don't know if you know quince.
Yeah, we have them in Denmark as well.
Yeah.
We call them kvæl.
Kvæl?
Yeah.
Okay. But also with plums like mirabellen or like raspberries, of course, wild blueberries that we have in the southern part of Belgium, and yeah, that's the nice thing about lambic. It absorbs so many flavors of what you add to it, but you have to make sure that the circumstances are the best, optimal to do that. It's nature. If you respect nature, then nature respects you, and you get a nice balance in flavors. But it only takes a long time. So it's all about spontaneous fermentation. So you cannot hurry up nature. It's nature that decides how long it takes to make a good beer. And in this place here, the Cam, it takes about 3 years to make 1 bottle of beer. So I must be really crazy to do this. But I just am so into this lambic beers that I have to fight to keep it going on for the next 500 years. This is probably one of the oldest beers in the world, Lambic. As we know it already, seen it in the Middle Ages, where people are playing the Flemish bagpipe on the paintings of Bruegel, and they're drinking Lambic, and they are having a lot of fun. So that's nice. Are you guys into a Lambic?
Oh yes. So this is straight from the barrel. That is really cool. What kind of lambic is this then? Is this with fruit or?
No, it's non-fruited. So
Oh.
this is just the basic beer, Lambic. For me, it's the best you can have in summertime. It's brewed about more than 2 years ago and fermented in the barrel since then. And so yeah, let's have a try. Oh, sorry, that's quite full. Good for me.
I'll share with Peter.
Oh, that's really nice.
But it's Lambic is such a flavorful beer. It makes your thirst go away and lingers on your palate for a long time. And that's what the farmers took to the fields to keep on working until the sun goes down. That's Lambic. Yeah. Cheers.
It's really tasty. Cheers.
Salty.
So this, how old did you say this was?
2 years,
2
almost 2 years, yeah.
Absorbed a lot of the wood.
Yeah, you're tasting a lot of the wood flavor.
And
It's so drinkable though. I'm
Yeah.
really getting into. So I've always liked lambic, but it's not. It's quite new for me to drink them like this, where they are still.
yeah.
But I think it's really refreshing. It's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
tasty, and you get a lot of complexity still and everything.
Yeah, of course.
And I think it's for some people it's a bit hard because they have the idea that beer always have to have carbonation.
yeah.
But if you have like, for example, English cask ale, it's almost, it's not the
Yeah,
same type of beer, but it's also the
Yeah,
sensation of
yeah,
flat beer.
yeah. You cannot have carbonation in this
In
beer
wood.
because it disappears through the wood, so that's why the beer stays flat. And before 1820, every beer was like that. We only had barrels to let it fermentate, and they only did re-fermentation in the bottle since the méthode de champenoise from France came to Belgium. And then the carbon dioxide cannot escape. You have the between the proteins of the grains and the carbon dioxide that makes the foam in your beer. But before 1820, all the beers were flat, and people were used to drink straight from the barrel. And every pub owner had a barrel in his cellar, and so there were no bottles. The pub owner went to the cellar to get with a jar to have 2 liters and served it above to the clients, to the customers. It's a nice way to for the heritage. It has to stay alive for the next 500 years. Yeah.
It's really cool. It's like, I love it when people are staying really true to it and doing it right. No sugar and all these things.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
It's that's why this is Lambic, and from Lambic you make Geus. Huh?
Yeah, I know.
So in French you make from flat wine, the sparkling wine, the champagne.
Yeah.
We make from the flat Lambic, the Lambic gazeuse, and in French that means sparkling. That's where the name Geus comes from.
Oh.
Lambic gazeuse, geuse.
So sparkling lambic.
Sparkling
Very nice.
Lambic,
Nice.
yeah. But completely spontaneous. So without adding sugars, without adding any yeast to it, it's just by blending young and old Lambic and put it in a really strong bottle, not a brown bottle with flat bottom. No, it has to be a really strong champagne bottle because the re-fermentation can go really high, and otherwise the bottle would break. So that's why you cannot have a Geus on draft, because it's spontaneous re-fermentation, like the tradition wants it. And if you do it in a keg, then you would only have foam.
Ah, right.
So
Because it would be so high carbonation.
yeah. So it would never be possible if you do it traditionally. Geus on draft does not exist. People should be aware of that.
How long time does it take to get really acquainted with the blending? How do you know when you need to, like when the beer is ready? Is it just by tasting a lot and practicing?
By a lot of tasting.
The way to do it.
But it's of course we measure at the density. Yeah, we have some tools, but the most important thing is use your nose. By using your nose, you know about for 70-80% which blend you're gonna make of the lambics you're gonna do. So that's why we as lambic brewers or blenders, we never smoke, because smoking would destroy our nose and our palate. It's true, and so I learned it from Armand from the Drie Fonteinen and his father Gaston the builder, and when he taught me the job of blending, then it was looking each other in the eyes, and the way he took another face, yeah, I knew, yes, this lambic would go along with that or that lambic. It's almost without words that we knew which blend of Geus we wanted to make at that moment. Wow. But it's always different, of course. Every time you taste all the barrels, you make another blend. It can never be twice the same, and it doesn't have to be twice the same.
No. That's also because it's nature, and you can't control nature.
And we have more than 120 different identified wild yeasts going on in this barrel. Wow. And it's different from barrel to barrel, so it's impossible to make twice the same beer. So the one who is wanting me always making the same Geus, we cannot. We always will try to make the most perfect Geus, but we will never reach perfection. But we can always try. So if you want to see where I do the bottling, that's in the corner. It's a bit of a war zone, of course. I put some lights.
Oh, here we go.
So here I do it, but this is what I only do in the night. I start at 2-3 o'clock in the night, and then I bottle 2 pallets.
On your own?
All on my own.
Wow.
And in the night I don't have visitors, so I start filling up the bottles, and in the morning at 9 o'clock I'm finished. When I do that in the daytime, I have too much visitors that want to come and taste and talk and discuss the beers. So that's why I do this in the night, and that gives me my freedom, my independency to do my lambic beers the way I want, and it's what I like.
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah, indeed. We have been fighting for the survival of these beers in the 80s, the 90s, against the always the beers getting sweeter and sweeter and sweeter, and people were told lies about how the beer was made, and so we had to go against that by making, first of all, really good quality beers, and second of all, to tell our story by the social media. Social media has saved us in the lambic world. Otherwise, this would not have been possible. You had the big breweries that always controlled the marketing, and it's still difficult because now the big breweries try to control the social media as well.
Yeah.
And also by paying influencers to tell lies. And I hope that really beer lovers, lambic lovers, that they realize that the difference, they have to come to the small places where people make lambic beers with passion. And that's what we try to do. It's not a religion. I don't want to convince everybody to drink lambic, but you should at least try.
Yes, with an open mind.
Voila.
Yes.
And I hate it when people say this is sour beer. This is not sour beer. Sour is what Americans do. Americans, they do extremely things, and they call it sour. This is not sour. This is sugar-free. Sugar-free is really positive. Sour is, in my eyes, is negative. This is sugar-free, and that's really positive. Because of the Brettanomyces, they eat all the sugars and transform it into more complexity, into more flavors, and more lingering afterwards. You have taken a sip of your glass. So the difference between the cultivated yeast, the Saccharomyces, and the Brettanomyces is that the Brettanomyces survives on alcohol. Yeah, and that's why you can buy a bottle of Geus and it will improve for the next 20 years. That you don't have with a Trappist beer. A Trappist beer you can make on 4 or 5 weeks. a bottle of Geuz you make on 3 years. It takes 3 years to make one bottle of Geuz, but afterwards you can leave it for more than 20 years in your cellar and it will improve in quality. So if I would have to make a choice, I would drink both, but I would have more respect for the Geuz.
Yeah. It's really, we've been trying some aged Geuz on this trip, and it's been really fun to see how it changes over time. Today we had an 11 vintage of Mega Blend.
Yeah.
And 2 days ago we went to Fontaine and we had Herbst, which was also drinking amazingly. I think it's the beer style that holds up the best with age.
Yeah, indeed.
And it really improves because a lot of beer styles, they like fall flat with age.
Yeah, indeed.
And Lambic just perseveres so much.
Yeah. But of course we have to be careful about what we do. We have to keep the temperature here as low as possible and to clean barrels as good as possible. And so we can make now a better quality of Geuz than in the early days when they didn't have the methods to clean barrels in a proper way or to have nice clean bottles and to have high quality of corks. It's the cork that makes sure that you can leave your bottle for 20 years in your cellar, not the crown cap or whatsoever. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Very, very nice.
Would you like to see the Museum of Instruments above?
Yes, of course.
Because it's really...
Never been there.
So every musician comes together every Wednesday to play here at just besides the church. There is a nice place. And we go back in time 500 years. 500 years ago you had Bruegel, the famous painter, and he painted this. It was the wedding of the farmers. It's called the wedding of the farmers, and so you have the happy couple here, and they're eating a lot of stuff, like the Brussels pottekes, for example, and they're drinking the Lambic, like we do
in the jars.
right now. Yeah, in the jars. So that's 500 years ago. So that's why we say that Lambic is the mother of all beers. And so what they play is the Flemish bagpipe, and so all the instruments you see here, like the hurdy-gurdy, like the violin, like the bagpipe, are all instruments of people who were not very rich, but they wanted to make fun and have fun and drink a lot of beer and have fun. So that's why in 1800, the Industrial Revolution, the people didn't have time anymore to play a lot of music. They had to work, and so almost the Flemish bagpipe disappeared in Belgium. It's the difference with in Scotland. It's the instrument of going to war. It's the instrument of the army, where the one clan had to fight the other clan in the Highlands. But here in Belgium it was only to have fun at the weddings. And it's the same story with the Lambic. The Lambic almost disappeared because of the influence of the big companies that wanted to make you believe that sweet beer was better for you, but it was not. It was with artificial sweeteners that they made it, and even the fruit was not real fruit that they added. And of course they could make it really cheap, and we had a very expensive beer to produce. But so now we have turned it around, and as a craft blender, we are very proud that we survived, and we hope to survive for the next 500 years. So if you don't know what to do in summertime, you have to come on Wednesday evening to the gathering of all the musicians. Or in August we have the stage that a lot of musicians come together to play and drink Lambic, or the festival Gooikoorts, where we have a Geuz specially made for the Lambic lovers, with Lambic in it of 4 years old, 4 years in the barrels.
So it's like a festival here in the city?
in the city, yeah.
And then you play the instruments and drink Lambic like in the old days?
Yeah, and we dance
that's
and
really
we sing
cool.
until the next morning, and it's day after day after day, yeah.
Nice.
Indeed.
Okay guys, so I just got back from the most amazing trip. As you saw there, we got a tour of De Cam. We went to the Grote Dorst. I can't pronounce the full name just by ear. But wow, what an experience. Thanks so much to Patrick and his girlfriend for taking us there and showing us around. It's really, really kind of you. It's fun to share some vintage Lambic with you guys. So yeah, finished up the tour at De Cam, and man, Karel, he's very knowledgeable. He's very passionate about what he does. So it was really, really fun to hear his spin on Lambic and a lot of history, which I hope you guys enjoyed as well. And we couldn't help ourselves. Bought a few. Well, we ended up buying a whole case of De Cam to bring home, so we're going to see some videos. One thing I'm really excited about is this 17 vintage Oude Geuz, and also this 15 De Cam Lambic. And I think maybe was this one aged for 4 years in barrels. It was 4-year-old Lambic. Spontaneous remnant out of one called Winter Night bottle in 2018. So yeah, no, 3 years. 3 years? I think it was it's a limited edition. I think it was single, like it was unblended. I can't remember exactly, but they sounded amazing. But I ended up getting one of each of all the fruit lambics and everything. Also because there's loads of De Cam there that I haven't seen in Denmark. So gotta explore the goods of Pajottenland and Brussels. So yeah, amazing day. I think if you go to Brussels, going there by public transport is probably not easy at all. So you'd have to have a car. But if you do, I think it's a must. The experience there, sitting at the Café first, Grote Dorst, and with all the locals sitting there drinking their afternoon lambic after church, was really cool. And then also, of course, to come and going have a tour of like a authentic blendery and see how they're doing things and just hear how passionate Karel was about his process and everything. It was really fun. So huge recommendations if you guys are in Brussels. So hope you guys enjoyed this video, another on the road video from the trip this summer. As always, remember to comment, subscribe, check out the Facebook fan page and Twitter and Instagram. Give this video a thumbs up. There we go. If you enjoyed it. And I'm gonna say cheers in these when I get back home, and see you guys in another beer video from this trip.